What happens when a nation built on secularism begins to embrace a faith that challenges its very foundations? How does a country known for its revolutionary ideals and cultural sophistication find itself at the crossroads of modernity and spirituality? This is the story of Islam in France, a tale of transformation, resilience, and the search for meaning in an increasingly fragmented world. It's a story of how a faith, often misunderstood, is finding its place in the heart of one of Europe's most secular nations. So, let's dive into this journey, exploring how Islam is reshaping the spiritual landscape of France. Picture this: the year is 1905. France, the birthplace of the Enlightenment and the French Revolution, enacts a law that separates church and state, cementing its identity as a secular nation. Fast forward to the 21st century, and France is home to the largest Muslim population in Europe, with over 5 million Muslims calling it home. But this isn't just a story of numbers. It's a story of how Islam, a faith rooted in tradition, is navigating the complexities of modernity, secularism, and cultural identity. France's relationship with Islam is complex. On one hand, the country prides itself on its secular values, enshrined in the principle of laïcité. On the other, its colonial history and waves of immigration from North Africa have made Islam an integral part of its social fabric. Today, as France grapples with questions of identity, integration, and religious freedom, Islam is at the center of a national conversation. This is the story of how Islam in France is not just surviving, but thriving. The story of Islam in France begins in the 19th century, during the colonial era. As France expanded its empire into North Africa, it brought back not just resources, but people. Algerian, Moroccan, and Tunisian workers began migrating to France, bringing with them their faith, culture, and traditions. These early Muslim immigrants settled in urban centers like Paris, Marseille, and Lyon, laying the foundation for what would become a vibrant Muslim community. But it was after World War II that Islam truly began to take root in France. The country, devastated by war, needed labor to rebuild its economy. Thousands of workers from France's former colonies in North Africa arrived, filling factories, construction sites, and mines. These immigrants, many of whom were Muslim, brought with them a rich spiritual heritage that would eventually transform the religious landscape of France. As the Muslim population in France grew, so did the challenges of integration. France's strict secularism, enshrined in the principle of laïcité, posed significant obstacles for Muslims seeking to practice their faith openly. The French state, committed to maintaining a clear separation between religion and public life, often viewed religious expressions with suspicion. One of the most contentious issues has been the wearing of religious symbols, particularly the hijab. In 2004, France banned the wearing of conspicuous religious symbols, including the hijab, in public schools. The ban sparked widespread debate, with many Muslim women arguing that it infringed on their right to practice their faith. For them, the hijab was not just a religious symbol, but a form of personal expression and empowerment. Despite these challenges, France's Muslim community has continued to grow and thrive. Mosques, Islamic schools, and cultural centers have sprung up across the country, providing spaces for worship, education, and community building. These institutions have played a crucial role in helping Muslims navigate the complexities of life in a secular state. In recent years, a new phenomenon has emerged in France: the conversion of native French citizens to Islam. For many, the journey to Islam begins with a search for meaning in a world dominated by materialism and individualism. In a society where success is often measured by wealth and status, many French citizens are finding themselves spiritually unfulfilled. Islam, with its emphasis on community, humility, and a higher purpose, offers an alternative to the emptiness of modern life. For many converts, the decision to embrace Islam is not just a religious choice, but a rejection of the values of consumerism and individualism that dominate French society. They find in Islam a sense of belonging, a connection to something greater than themselves. One such convert is Marie, a 32-year-old Parisian who embraced Islam after years of feeling disconnected from her Catholic upbringing. "I was searching for something deeper," she says. "In Islam, I found a sense of peace and purpose that I had never experienced before. It's not just a religion, it's a way of life." The growth of Islam in France would not have been possible without the active role of the Muslim community. Mosques, Islamic centers, and cultural organizations have played a crucial role in introducing Islam to non-Muslims and supporting new converts. These institutions serve not just as places of worship, but as hubs of education, social interaction, and community building. One of the most significant developments in recent years has been the rise of interfaith dialogue. Muslim leaders in France have worked tirelessly to build bridges with other religious communities, fostering a climate of mutual respect and understanding. These efforts have helped to dispel misconceptions about Islam and promote a more inclusive society. Social media has also played a key role in spreading Islam in France. Platforms like YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook have become powerful tools for sharing Islamic teachings and connecting with a global audience. Young Muslims in particular have embraced these platforms, using them to share their faith and engage in meaningful conversations about Islam. As Islam continues to grow in France, it faces both challenges and opportunities. On one hand, the rise of Islamophobia and the association of Islam with extremism pose significant obstacles to integration. On the other, the increasing openness of French society to diversity and multiculturalism offers a unique opportunity for Islam to thrive. One of the key challenges facing French Muslims is the need to combat negative stereotypes and misconceptions about Islam. The media often portrays Islam in a negative light, linking it with terrorism and violence. This has created a climate of fear and suspicion that makes it difficult for Muslims to fully integrate into French society. But there are also signs of hope. The younger generation of French Muslims is more engaged, more educated, and more determined to challenge stereotypes and build a more inclusive society. They are using social media, art, and activism to promote a positive image of Islam and to advocate for social justice. The story of Islam in France is more than just a national narrative. It's a reflection of the broader challenges and opportunities facing the Muslim world today. In an era of globalization and rapid change, how can Muslim communities preserve their identity while embracing modernity? And how can the values of tolerance and coexistence that define France's Islamic tradition be promoted on a global scale? Muslims from North Africa continue to arrive, joined by communities from sub-Saharan Africa and other parts of the Muslim world. This period saw the establishment of more permanent Muslim institutions, including larger mosques, Islamic schools, and community centers. These spaces served as pillars of support for newly arrived immigrants, providing not only religious guidance but also social services, language assistance, and a sense of belonging in a new land. The Muslim community, despite facing various forms of social and economic marginalization, demonstrated remarkable resilience and determination in rebuilding their lives and preserving their cultural and religious identities. The growing visibility of Islam in France sparked ongoing debates about the compatibility of Islam with French secularism. Some argued that Islam, with its perceived emphasis on religious law and community values, was inherently at odds with the principles of individual liberty and secular governance. This debate often played out in the public sphere, fueled by political rhetoric and media representations that sometimes perpetuated stereotypes and misconceptions about Islam and Muslims. Despite these challenges, many Muslims in France sought to reconcile their faith with their French identity. They argued that Islam, like other religions, could be practiced within the framework of French secularism, emphasizing the importance of respecting the law of the land while upholding their religious beliefs and practices in their private lives. This ongoing dialogue highlighted the need for greater understanding, tolerance, and mutual respect between different communities within French society. Section 5. The hijab debate, navigating religious freedom and secular values. One of the most contentious issues surrounding Islam in France has been the debate over the hijab, the headscarf worn by some Muslim women. For many Muslims, the hijab is a religious obligation and a symbol of modesty, identity, and faith. However, in France, it has been seen by some as a challenge to the principle of laïcité, interpreted as a visible religious symbol that has no place in the public sphere, particularly in schools and government institutions. This debate has sparked heated arguments and legal challenges, culminating in the 2004 law banning the wearing of conspicuous religious symbols in public schools. This law, while ostensibly neutral, has disproportionately impacted Muslim women who wear the hijab, leading to accusations of discrimination and infringement on religious freedom. The hijab debate continues to be a sensitive and complex issue in France, highlighting the ongoing struggle to balance religious expression with the principles of secularism. Section 6. A growing community, the rise of native French Muslims. Despite the challenges and controversies, the Muslim community in France has continued to grow and evolve. One significant trend has been the rise in the number of native French citizens converting to Islam. This phenomenon, although difficult to quantify accurately due to France's strict laws on collecting religious data, reflects a growing interest in Islam among segments of the French population. The reasons for this trend are complex and varied. Some are drawn to Islam's spiritual teachings, finding solace and meaning in its message of peace, justice, and submission to God. Others may be motivated by a search for identity and belonging in an increasingly secular and individualistic society. The rise of native French Muslims adds another layer of complexity to the French Islamic experience, challenging preconceived notions and highlighting the internal diversity within the Muslim community. Section 7. The role of institutions, fostering community and dialogue. Muslim institutions have played a crucial role in supporting the growing Muslim community in France. Mosques, Islamic centers, and community organizations provide spaces for prayer, religious education, and social gatherings. They also serve as bridges between the Muslim community and the wider French society, organizing interfaith dialogues, cultural events, and outreach programs aimed at fostering understanding and dispelling misconceptions about Islam. These institutions have also been at the forefront of promoting civic engagement and social responsibility among French Muslims. They encourage participation in the democratic process, advocate for the rights of minorities, and contribute to charitable causes, both within and outside the Muslim community. By actively engaging in French society, Muslim institutions are working towards building a more inclusive and cohesive society. Section 8. Islamophobia and Resilience, Confronting Challenges, Building Bridges. Despite the positive contributions of the Muslim community, Islamophobia remains a persistent challenge in France. Muslims continue to face discrimination in employment, housing, and education. They are often portrayed negatively in the media, fueling prejudice and fear. The rise of far-right political parties with anti-immigrant and anti-Islam platforms has further exacerbated these challenges, creating a climate of fear and suspicion. However, the Muslim community has responded to these challenges with resilience and determination. They have organized peaceful protests against discrimination, challenged Islamophobic rhetoric in the media and political discourse, and worked to build bridges with other communities. Numerous interfaith initiatives have emerged, bringing together Muslims, Christians, Jews, and people of other faiths to promote dialogue, understanding, and respect. Section 9. A future intertwined towards a shared French identity. The story of Islam in France is a testament to the complexities of integration, identity, and religious freedom in a secular society. While challenges remain, there is also hope. The younger generation of French Muslims, born and raised in France, are increasingly asserting their presence and shaping the future of French Islam. They are more integrated into French society, fluent in French language and culture, and actively engaged in various professions and fields. Some might argue that France's strict secularism is incompatible with the growth of Islam, but the reality is far more nuanced. France's Muslims have found a way to balance their faith with the demands of a secular state. This balance, far from weakening their identity, has made French Islam a model for the world. The journey of Islam in France is a story of resilience, transformation, and hope. It's a story that reminds us of the enduring power of faith and the importance of tolerance in a divided world. As France continues to navigate the complexities of modernity and identity, its Muslim community stands as a testament to the strength of faith and the promise of a brighter future. With that said, thanks for watching, and until next time, keep seeking the truth.